Hey guys, welcome back to Nature's Cadence Farm. Today we're going to be working on our Bayou 220 again. So I've got a little problem with some of the axle grease coming out of the axle and getting into the brake drum. So I'm pretty sure that really the only thing that's in the way are the axle seals. So I'm going to pull the axle seals out. I'm going to check the bearings. I might replace those while I'm in there. We'll see. But definitely it's going to get some new brakes and seals to help control that fluid into the brake drums, because the rear brakes don't really work, and the parking brake doesn't work much. So what we're going to do is pull all this apart. Never done this before, but we're going to get in there and give it a shot. So you can see I've got quite a bit of oil and grease on there kind of coming out. So we're gonna pull this. I pulled the tire off, obviously, and there's a little rubber boot that you pop off. It's a little plastic rubber boot. It's easy to get to once you get the tire off, and pull this drum off and see what it looks like on the inside. Going to loosen up the preload on this rear drum. I don't know if you can see, but there's only one brake hub. It only has one brake on one side of the rear axle. So this is a live axle, we'll call it. Both. It's locked all the time, but anyway, so let's get these brake shoes pop right off. Really easy. They just fold like that, and I'm gonna keep the springs, but these are not in bad shape, but have got so much grease on them, they're just kind of saturated now. So you can just see all this fluid, just the oil just pouring out of there. So we got a little bit of slop in the rear end. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that, but yeah, we'll check that out. So this whole thing might need to be washed down with some brake parts cleaner, and the inside of the drum we'll wipe that out and clean it out with some brake parts cleaner, and see if we can get it operational again. Alright, well, I looked at the climber manual, and it says to drain this axle out. And actually, I need to remove this whole axle tube, this whole thing that bolts into the side here. So I'm just going to start draining this differential and popping these bolts out here, and see if we can maybe undo these hoses. There's this cable for the brakes, things like that need to be done. So let's get started with that. There's a plug underneath of this differential that it's just a looks like it's a whatever 17 millimeter, and it's just just kind of held in there. I never changed the differential fluid in this thing, so let's see how much is in there. Quite a bit, and it's pretty dirty too. So we'll let that drain a little while and get back to it in a minute. So we got all the axle fluid out. We're going to I'm gonna put this bolt back in for the drain, and I moved my jacks around, if you want to call them that, these cinder blocks toward the front, so the whole axle is kind of loose now. So now I'm gonna start taking all this stuff out, these bolts, see if we can get this get this tube off, to take this cable off or out. So that's attached to the little brake lever. Thread that back on there so I don't lose it. Looks like we've got some tubes here that are held on with some spring clips. Gonna need some needle nose. Alright, I got this bolt off, the bolt for the shock, and there's a bolt back here that I took off that's on the it's on this other little stabilizer bar right there. I could not get this bolt out, so I figured I'll just take that one out, and this whole thing can come out with it. And also there's a bolt right inside of there for this lower link. Pulled that out too. So now I'm ready to start taking these little bolts here. And most of, well, all of this, everything that was here was 14 millimeter, and both the head and the socket. So these look to be 10 millimeter. Let's try that out real quick. Yes, they are 10 millimeter. So we'll start popping those out. We got all these bolts out of the differential. Here's the last one here. Pull that out, slide everything out of the way. The axle should come on out with it. If it doesn't, you can just kind of pull it along with it. So there's everything there, and the bearing, I popped that out. I just drove it out from the back side with a piece of rebar, and the seal I just pried out from the inside here with a screwdriver. So I'm going to put the new seal in, put some grease around the lips, and put the new bearing in, and put it back together.